So I just got done watching The Trigger Part 1, and Pterosaur really has a knack for finding floating islands, doesn't he? Also known as Live in Peace or I'll Murder You Island, this episode focuses around yet another alien artifact, a giant flying island with a lot of death traps and a massive weapon, all activated by aggressive actions. They stumble into this, Tigatron stumbles into this, battling the flyers from the Predacons, and Black Arachnia sees an opportunity and begins to make her first play for power in the series. This one is interesting, not only because it's another Vok technology episode, and I love the variety of episodes we get in Beast Wars, whether it's finding Energon, Predacon weapons, maximal attempts at rescue, Vok storylines, Protoform storylines. There's a lot that goes on in this show to keep each and every episode feeling different from each other. And, it's very few and far between where an episode feels like it's could have been done better or just didn't feel right. So far in this series, only Double Dinobot has really felt off to me. Everything else, this has been, it's as good as I remember. Point being, it's another bit of variety for the series. I do like the alien episodes because it allows them to introduce a lot of weird things that you don't normally get in a story like Beast Wars. A lot of strange tech, a lot of mystery. Vok episodes are all about mystery, and this is no exception. We'll find out in part 2. At least we'll make a guess in part 2 what the island is. For now, we focus on its discovery and Tigatron especially. This is Tigatron's 2-part episode. And in particular, we do get to see a lot out of him in this episode. For starters, he seems very scared by things coming at him, be them falling communication towers or missiles, because he seems to freeze in place when it happens. I think he had plenty of time. Tigatron is not slow. He had plenty of time to dodge out of the way of these things and somehow failed to. It's a more amusing point than anything. The reality is that we do get to see a lot of what makes Tigatron a unique character. His love and connection to nature, feeling more natural as a beast more than a robot. And we also get to see his battle prowess as well. He is something of a... He is a... what's the right word here? He's something of two. You see two sides of the coin to Tigatron, where he is very capable as a stalker and a fighter, but he hates it at the same time. There's a paradox. That's the word I'm looking for. There's a paradox to Tigatron. He's so good at fighting Predacons, but adamantly hates doing it as well. He is not a violent individual at all, unless it is necessary. My brain wants to connect him to Mega Man X in that regard, but I don't want to make everything in my life about Mega Man. But point being, he makes for a really good character in this episode. And it's nice to see him at peace and actually being able to behave the way he'd like to. The limited time on this island before the Predacons make it a war zone. The concept of the floating island itself, the death traps, the massive weapon. Yeah, I like it. I like it, but it's also confusing at the same time. I'm still not sure why. I'm still not sure the purpose of creating this, even if later on, as we find out, it's a test to see if you can live peacefully. Why do you hide it on a floating island in the clouds? Why isn't it just a vacant lot somewhere? Just a random spot out in the desert that's all peaceful and nature-filled and growing and lush and green and beautiful, and just don't shoot anything while you're there and you're good. Well, we will make more assumptions about it later on, as we're not going to learn more about the island, but as we're there more in part 2. In this episode, we get to see Black Arachnia starting to take her first steps toward her major character arc and her peak of villainy as a Predacon. It's interesting to me that before they leave for the mission, Megatron pulls Scorponok aside and starts whispering in his ear. And it's obviously about Black Arachnia, about not trusting Black Arachnia. To keep in mind, to this point, Black Arachnia really hasn't tried anything. Megatron trusts Terror. Like, part of me feels like Waspinator is always with Terrorsaur, not because they're buddies, but more because Megatron always wants a more loyal soldier to watch Terrorsaur. Not that Waspinator's inherently loyal either. He's just too cowardly to go against Megatron. In this case, Black Arachnia she's very right not to trust her. But it's weird to me that he didn't have any trust in her despite her not really doing anything. She talks rebelliously, but she doesn't act on it. She so far hasn't disobeyed a single thing that has come down from Megatron. And she's been really effective as a Predacon, like we saw in the last episode. So I'm not really sure where the distrust comes from, other than, like, racist against spiders. I guess. Like, best guess I got right now. But we do see she starts slipping a little bit when she's with Scorponok. We get those first little indications that she is not here for the Predacon cause, and that she wants this island for herself. She is interesting in that her version of treachery differs from Terrorsaur, whereas Terrorsaur will wait for any opportunity and any advantage he thinks he can get over on Megatron. Black Arachnia is more cunning. She picks her spots more carefully, and when she sees something like this is obviously a massive advantage to have at your hands. So this is not surprising, really. But it does show that she is willing to keep herself on a leash around Megatron until there's a big enough reason to come off of it. We'll see how that pans out next episode. Other little notes to go here. Cyber Bees do a suspicious amount of convenient things here in this episode. Scorponok has live feed to the GoPro built into this thing because he can see from its point of view rather than doing any kind of recording or audio transmission. No, full HD video, live streaming. And it can send recorded messages too, and it can be conveniently reprogrammed in order to fly to the maximal base. And convenient that, there's a little bit more pocket conveniency, but it's more just like it's more of a gag that Cheetor couldn't shoot down the Cyber Bee, so yeah, that's the only reason the message got through. Funny is what it is. It's funny. Also, Tarantulas is curiously missing from this episode, and later on, and it's going to take a while before we get there, but when we find out what Tarantulas feels towards the Vok, the alien presence, we're going to find out that it's not too surprising that he went missing when one of their big death weapons showed up. So that is my thoughts for The Trigger Part 1. Because it's Part 1, I'm not going to give a rating just yet. We'll judge it as a whole tomorrow. And that is appropriate because this leaves off on quite a cliffhanger. So, hopefully, I will see you tomorrow for Part 2 of The Trigger. And we'll actually see how this all shakes out and how good it really is. I'll see you then. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.